shipped by our race leader Tim Wellens here. But he looks very, very good. He looked brilliant last week in Provence. He looked superb yesterday. Clearly the strongest climber in this race. And by what I've seen today, this demonstration of descending prowess, something we always knew he was good at. He has put everybody to the sword on the downhills as well as the climbs. But Martin is doing a good job here, but it's a big, big gap to cross, 58 seconds.
Yeah, this seems like a mission impossible there for Guillaume Martin. And also for Tim Wellens, who has met his match there in Nairo Quintana. Yesterday he managed to bridge across to the Colombian, who had attacked on the lower slopes of the Col d'Azur. But today, yeah, Quintana thought, if I can't get rid of Wellens on the climbs, I might as well do it on the descent. And that's exactly what he did on the Côte de Saint-Roch, putting over a minute into Tim Wellens, who has, well, Viermos and Storer glued to his wheel for the past 30 kilometers.
Yeah,
13 kilometers,
I mean, it's easy for me to say, criticise them for not coming through, but clearly the fact that Pinot, who's clearly in a little bit of difficulty, Storer and Villemos couldn't follow Martin suggests that they are on their limits as well. So they couldn't actually do anything. And we know Wellens, although limited on the long climbs, on the steeper sections, once the gradient falls into his favour, is on great form. He just can't match the pace of these pure climbers. But Wellens is riding very, very well. He's been isolated. He's had to do a lot more work. And clearly, once he gets that engine going, he's very difficult to actually work with. So no real surprise that they can't actually leave him. But look at this man now, 1 minute and 20 seconds for Nairo Quintana, being urged on by his team car. I think that's Yvon Ledenois, a rider that I used to race against back in the day. Very, very experienced rider indeed. He's got a son that's racing in the Pro Peloton. But 1:21, this is superb stuff from Quintana. Golden Quintana this is, isn't it?
It's February Quintana. It's a force of nature. It's a force of nature. Also interesting, Guillaume Martin is actually on his way to second place in the GC.
There we go, yeah. Yeah, he needs to take 27 seconds out of Tim Wellens. Hasn't quite done that so far. He just sits about 15 seconds he's taken at the moment, so needs to steal another quarter of a minute before he moves on to the second spot of the podium. But Wellens will be acutely aware of that. But they are on this climb now. This is the climb of the Col de Nice, and they will crest it in about 1,500 meters time. And then it's all downhill into the finish at Blauzac.
This man was actually the best French rider in the Grand Tours last year, with both a top 10 place in the Tour de France Vuelta. He was actually on his way to the podium in the Vuelta when he crashed about midway into the race. He managed to fight on and stay in ninth position, but there's one day after the crash that he lost an awful lot of time due to the impact of the crash the day before. So yeah, Guillaume Martin has a goal, and that is be on the podium this year in a Grand Tour. He's going to do the Giro for the first time ever, and then on to the Tour de France. And the Giro, well, it suits him pretty well, with just a very small amount of time trial kilometers and a lot of climbs.
Yeah, I think it's under 30 Ks of time trialing, isn't it, in the whole of the Giro? When you consider the Vuelta Algarve yesterday had a 34K time trial. But yeah, a very hilly race, so it will suit him. But Martin looking good here. But he's only got 17 seconds on the group behind. And finally, Storer does a little bit of work on the front, Thibaut Pinot as well, perhaps thinking we want to try and defend our places overall. Although for both of the Groupama riders, they don't have an overall position. 24th at 11:49 and 34th at 6:58. So it's all about trying to do something on the stage, and that is moving away from them. They're just not in the shape to compete with the February Nairo Quintana whatsoever.
No, and I think the original plan was to ride for Thibaut Pinot, because Michael Storer was actually working for the Frenchman. But, well, we saw that there was a little bit of an issue with the back of Thibaut Pinot. Now, the roles seem to have reversed, with Thibaut Pinot doing a little bit of work there for Michael Storer. But, yeah, he's gone. February Quintana is a force of nature to be reckoned with. For many years, actually, he was really, really good. I remember a fantastic stage win on the Mont Ventoux in Tour de la Provence 2 or 3 years ago. Not all the way to the top, though, to Chalais-Renard, but still from Béduin, that's a formidable climb to do in February at the pace that he did yesterday. Yeah, very strong performance there on the Col d'Air, a climb he knows very well. Tim Wellens said after the race that they both live in Monaco. I actually didn't know that of Quintana, that he also lived in Monaco, but apparently he does. And, well, that means that he probably knows this finale pretty well as well, because we are still in the vicinity of Monaco and just on the outskirts of Nice.
Yeah, we finished back down by the near to the coast again, though we're not actually on the coast, but not too far away. And by the way that he was carving some of the descents, it did suggest a little bit, at least a little bit of prior knowledge of those corners. Descending like an absolute demon. 1 minute 40 though is the gap. Tim Wellens continuing to fight, now trying to protect that second place on the general classification. 23 seconds it is now to Guillaume Martin. Remember, Martin sat at the start of the day in 5th at 27 seconds. And Martin at the moment is edging ever nearer second place on the GC.
That is, of course, of minor importance, because this man is on his way to a spectacular win today, and a rather convincing performance yet again. Nairo Quintana, who is on his third year with this team from France. Everybody just kind of frowned when it was announced that he was going to Arkea Samsic. It was not a very logical choice after many years on Movistar, but sometimes, and he was 29 at the time, you need just a little bit of freshness, you know, find a new team, new surroundings, and well, at Movistar, as they often do, they focus on Spanish riders a little bit more than South American riders. Look at Miguel Angel Lopez. It's what he said as well. You know, everything was for Enric Mas last year in the Vuelta and not for me. So that is a factor. But yeah, he has won fantastic races for Movistar. After this, he is off to Paris-Nice. And let's see what he can do there on the biggest stage, on the World Tour stage.
Yeah, I think the move, I think it's been a good one. I think he knows now. I mean, he probably wouldn't like to admit it. He's probably not going to win a Grand Tour now. He's already won 2, but the current generation of riders, I can't see him winning a Grand Tour. But what he can do is just win bike races. He's riding for a French team. So opening weekend for Arkea Samsic, for example, obviously this man won't be riding, isn't as big a deal as winning a big stage race in France. So it's absolutely ideal, and he's able to express himself and ride with real liberty, and it's wonderful to see.
Just over 5 kilometers to go in this final stage of the Tour des Alpes Maritimes et du Var. The situation at the moment, Nairo Quintana is leading 1 minute and 3 seconds there on Guillaume Martin, and then 1 minute and 41 on this group with Tim Wellens, Michael Storer, Alexis Viermos, and in 4th position there, Thibaut Pinot. We've seen a very active Lotto Soudal who had to counter all sorts of attacks in this rather short stage of 113 kilometers. It really completely worn out the entire team, and it was up to Wellens quite early actually to do it on his own. Yesterday he managed to ride back to Nairo Quintana when the climb in Col d'Air kind of leveled out. So today Nairo Quintana said, well, if I can't beat you on the climbs, I'll do it on the descents, and that is exactly what he did. Quintana, he already won this race 2 years ago, and he's on his way to winning it again.
Yeah, he's looking great, isn't he? Really fast running to the line. These last few kilometres, 4.4 to be exact, are going to rattle by exceptionally quickly. And with a gap of 1:21 to Martin, 1:43 now to Yellow Jersey. Barring an incident, this is his for the takings, his race to lose now. But he's going to enjoy these last few Ks, absolutely flying. And as you said, I think Wellens might be a little bit critical of what's happened in relation, not so much his team, because his companions, but also I think he accepts that the way that Quintana has ridden and the gap that he has opened up in a relatively short space of time on the descent and on the climb. At the moment, with 3.7 Ks to go, the strongest man in this race is the one out in front, without a shadow of a doubt. So, yeah, That's bike racing, and Wellens, I don't think there's anything he could have done about Nairo Quintana, even if the others had worked with him. I think he's a force of nature at the moment and almost untouchable today.
Yes, these last 3 kilometers will go by really, really fast because we go downhill all the way to Blauzac. We've been here before last year with this race, the Tour des Alpes Maritimes et du Var, a 3-day stage race in the south of France. Kind of, whoa, these bollards, why, people? But yeah, okay, they're quite visible, but still
they're to stop
a dangerous
overtaking
thing
for the cars, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, for bike riders, I mean, if this was maybe the Tour, they'd have removed them.
Yep.
But this isn't the Tour. But the riders can see them. They're a little bit difficult to negotiate. We just saw, well, Tim Wellens, a good illustration of taking the racing line whilst flicking through the barriers, almost like a slalom that was. But yeah, they're a road safety device. I understand why they're there to stop any dangerous overtakes on blind bends. But 2.5 Ks to go. Looking
a little
great,
bit of Winter Olympics here in the bike race
yes.
by Tim Wellens.
Yeah. All we need now is some moguls on the run into the line.
Oh God, my knees hurt when I see those things. It's fantastic skill, fantastic Winter Olympics. But they're over now, and the bike racing starts with the World Tour, first stage of the UE Tour today. You can watch that back, of course, on the GCN app. That continues all week with Adam Blythe and Carlton Kirby on commentary. So a lot of sprinting power there in the Emirates, and of course the 2 uphill finishes in Jebel Jais and Jebel Havit, the traditional course there in the Emirates. So go check that out. I think it's in the morning, actually.
Yeah, I think
quite
most
early.
stages start about 11 o'clock British time, actually, and finish about 1 o'clock, so it's quite an early one.
1.5 kilometers of downhill left to go for this man, Nairo Quintana. He is clearly the strongest in this race. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He was helped with Lucas Ofsian and Nicolas Edet in that breakaway. Edet kind of set him up for that attack on the Côte de Saint-Roch, and then he did it all by himself with Thibaut Pinot for a while, and then he dropped Thibaut Pinot on the descent and went solo about, well, what was it, 12, 13 kilometers ago. Guillaume Martin attacked from the chasing group. He's on his way to second in the GC. This rider from France for Cofidis. And Tim Wellens, despite all the effort and all the work done by his team, Lotto Soudal, he is working against a very formidable Nairo Quintana today.
Yeah, he was isolated ultimately. His team had put a lot of work in. I don't think we can be critical of his team at all, because they are going to come out of this race with a stage win for Tim Wellens, a spell of the jersey, and a stage win for Caleb Ewan. So 2 wins from 3 isn't bad. He still should finish on the podium. It's going to be tight though, and this man knows that. That's why he knows a victory isn't going to come his way, but he's fighting now for second place on the GC, which he'll be very happy with. But what can you say, Jose, about Nairo Quintana?
Well, I think I've said enough. He knows he only needed a second on Tim Wellens, and looks like he takes 2 minutes. So rather convincing win here by Nairoman, by the rider from Colombia, Nairo Quintana, delivering the stage win to Arkea Samsic, and also the general classification, meaning win number 4 and number 5 for the team from Brittany. And, well, this is his 4th win of the season already.
Absolutely superb stuff. Just a one-arm salute there, banging his chest. Absolute delight for Nairo Quintana there. Arkea Samsic are going to be absolutely delighted as well. And it's going to be the best part of a minute and a half before we see Martin cross the line in second place, and then the clock will count to see whether he can overhaul Tim Wellens. But there we go, smiles all round. Beautiful day here in Blauzac, and another great day. Yes, you're quite right, 4 wins so far this season, and we're only halfway through February. That's not bad.
Well, he's got one more race left in February. That's the Faune Ardèche race, which is a rather lumpy race in itself in the Ardèche region, just a little bit north of where we are now. And, well, of course, a one-day race is something different than a stage race, but in this form, he might as well win that one as well.
You wouldn't put it past him, would you?
Nope.
Let's see what Martin can do. He knows he's got to fight all the way to the line here. Second place is better than third place. He's put in a good performance. He waited and waited. I think it was always doubtful that he would get across to Nairo Quintana, but bided his time, attacked on the climb to dispatch Wellens. That's why he's fighting every single inch of the way here.
Oof, that will be very close. 27 seconds was the difference. Nope, he did not make that, Guillaume Martin. So that means that Tim Wellens is in second place in the GC, and Guillaume Martin rounds up the podium in third place. All the time in the world to celebrate and point at the sponsors, Arkea and Samsic. Well, he tried and he fought, but he lost. And just like you said, Matt, there was nothing he could do. This is the group with Calmejean, with Warbass, with Mollema, Gebre Sabir as well. Sprinting for minor places. Mark Donovan is there as well. And I think James Shaw in the pink as well. So he should stay in the top 10 of the GC of this rather wonderful three-day stage race, Tour des Alpes Maritimes.